Chosen Ones. In the bustling city of Seattle, where the rain never seemed to stop and the coffee shops glowed like beacons against the gray skies, lived a young woman named Elena Reyes. She wasn't famous, not yet, but she had always felt different, like the world was a puzzle she'd been born knowing how to solve, even if no one else could see the pieces. Her friends called it intuition. Her family dismissed it as overthinking, but Elena knew better. Deep down, she believed she was one of the chosen ones, someone handpicked by the universe for a purpose bigger than late-night shifts at the bookstore and quiet evenings alone with her journal. The signs had started small, dreams that felt more like memories of lives she hadn't lived, sudden waves of knowing when someone was lying, a pull toward helping strangers who crossed her path, as if their pain was her own unfinished business. She devoured podcasts and books about spiritual awakenings, starseeds, and lightworkers. The more she learned, the more it resonated. The isolation, the unexplained fatigue, the way ordinary life felt like wearing someone else's skin. She was awakening, she told herself. She was special. But lately, something darker had crept in. Elena's energy was draining faster than she could recharge it. She'd wake up exhausted after 8 hours of sleep, her chest tight with an anxiety she couldn't name. Old friends drifted away, calling her too intense or dramatic. New people appeared, charismatic online coaches, group chats full of fellow chosen ones, promising community, but delivering only more pressure to perform her destiny. She began to question everything. Was she really chosen, or was she just broken? One rainy October evening, Elena sat cross-legged on her apartment floor, surrounded by crystals, sage smoke curling lazily toward the ceiling. Her phone buzzed with notifications from a spiritual forum she'd joined months ago. The latest post caught her eye. Chosen ones, avoid this immediately. It is seriously harming your well-being. The title hit like lightning. She clicked, heart pounding. The article was blunt. It warned that the biggest threat to people like her wasn't external enemies or dark forces. It was something she did every single day without realizing, seeking constant validation from other chosen ones and comparing her journey to theirs. Elena froze. That was exactly what she'd been doing. Scrolling through endless testimonies of instant manifestations, twin flame reunions, and unbreakable confidence, measuring her slow, messy progress against their polished highlight reels. Doubting herself when her awakening didn't look cinematic, forcing smiles in group calls, while inside she felt like she was failing her own calling. The post explained it clearly. This habit creates energetic leaks. It feeds ego instead of soul. It keeps you in a loop of lack, never enough gifts, never enough proof, never enough light. Over time, it erodes your authentic power, leaving you depleted, resentful, and disconnected from the quiet inner voice that actually guides you. Elena read on, tears blurring the screen. The article urged immediate action. Stop the comparison. Stop performing spirituality for likes and comments. Stop chasing external confirmation that you're special enough. Instead, return to solitude, the very thing she'd been running from. Trust the process without needing witnesses. Protect your energy like it was the last clean water on earth. She set the phone down and stared at the rain-streaked window. For the first time in months, the silence didn't feel lonely. It felt sacred. The next morning, Elena made a decision. She logged out of every spiritual group, unfollowed the influencers whose posts left her feeling small, and turned off notifications. She canceled the upcoming Zoom activation session she'd signed up for out of fear of missing out. Instead, she went for a long walk along the waterfront. No phone, no agenda. Just her and the sound of waves against the pier. At first, the withdrawal was brutal. Her mind screamed that she was isolating herself, that she needed the community to survive the awakening. Doubts flooded in. What if she really was falling behind? What if the universe withdrew her chosen status for not hustling harder? But she kept walking, she kept breathing, and slowly something shifted. The exhaustion began to lift, not all at once, but in gentle waves. Colors seemed brighter, ideas flowed without the pressure to share them immediately. When she helped someone, a lost tourist or a crying coworker, it came from a pure place, not from a need to prove her worth. She started journaling again, not for an audience, but for herself. The words felt honest, raw, and hers. Weeks turned into months. Elena still felt the weight of her purpose sometimes, the pull towards something greater, but it no longer crushed her. She learned to rest without guilt, to say no to energy vampires disguised as fellow lightworkers, to trust that if she was truly chosen, the path would unfold without her forcing it. One evening, as the sun set over Puget Sound in a rare blaze of orange and pink, Elena sat on a bench and whispered to the universe, "I'm done performing. I'm ready to just be." In that quiet surrender, she felt it, a deep, unshakable peace, not the flashy enlightenment she'd chased, but something realer, her own steady light, no longer dimmed by comparison or validation. She smiled, small and certain. The real awakening wasn't about being chosen, it was about choosing herself every single day without apology. And in that choice, she was finally free. In the shadow of Seattle's iconic Space Needle, where the perpetual drizzle painted the streets in shades of silver and the aroma of fresh brewed coffee mingled with the salty tang of Puget Sound, Elena Reyes had always felt like an outsider in her own life. Born to immigrant parents from Mexico who had traded the sun-drenched hills of Guadalajara for the tech boom of the Pacific Northwest, Elena grew up in a modest apartment in Capitol Hill. Her father worked long hours as a mechanic, fixing the sleek electric cars of the city's elite, while her mother balanced two jobs as a housekeeper and a seamstress. They were practical people, grounded in the rhythm of survival, and they often shook their heads at Elena's dreamy disposition. "Mija, the world doesn't run on wishes," her mother would say, threading a needle with expert precision. But Elena couldn't help it. She saw wishes everywhere, like invisible threads weaving through the fabric of reality. From a young age, the signs were there. At 7, she predicted her grandmother's fall down the stairs, waking up in a cold sweat the night before it happened. At 12, she felt an inexplicable urge to hug a classmate who later confided he'd been contemplating suicide. By her teens, these intuitions had evolved into something more profound, vivid dreams of ancient civilizations where she wandered as a healer or a seer, sudden insights during conversations that revealed hidden truths, and an empathy so deep it left her physically drained after social gatherings. Her high school friends teased her for being psychic, but Elena kept it hidden, fearing she'd be labeled crazy. Instead, she buried herself in books, fantasy novels at first, then spiritual texts borrowed from the library, the Celestine Prophecy, The Alchemist, and later online forums about starseeds and lightworkers. It all clicked. She wasn't broken, she was chosen, destined for something extraordinary in a world that felt increasingly chaotic. College brought a brief illusion of normalcy. Elena majored in psychology at the University of Washington, hoping to understand her gifts through science. But the lectures on cognitive biases and neurotransmitters only deepened her conviction that there was more to existence than what could be measured in a lab. She graduated with honors, but no clear path, landing a job at a cozy independent bookstore in Pike Place Market. There, surrounded by shelves of esoteric tomes and the chatter of tourists, she felt a semblance of purpose. Customers would gravitate toward her, sharing personal stories as if she were a confessor. "You have such kind eyes," they'd say, "like you really see me." And she did. But each interaction chipped away at her energy, leaving her evenings spent in exhaustion, scrolling through social media for validation. It was during one of those late-night scrolls that Elena stumbled into the online world of the chosen ones. A viral TikTok video popped up, a glamorous woman in flowing robes declaring, "If you're watching this, you're not here by accident. You're a lightworker, awakening to your mission." Elena's heart raced. She dove in, joining Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and Discord servers filled with people who claimed similar experiences. They spoke of ascension symptoms, chronic fatigue, heightened sensitivity, a sense of isolation from 3D society. "You're chosen," the posts affirmed. "The universe selected you to anchor the light during these turbulent times." For the first time, Elena felt seen. She wasn't alone. But the honeymoon phase faded quickly. The communities were a double-edged sword.
On one hand, they offered camaraderie, virtual meditations, shared dreams, and encouragement during dark nights of the soul. On the other, they bred competition. Members posted about their activations, instant manifestations of dream jobs, reunions with twin flames, or psychic visions that saved lives. Elena's contributions felt meager in comparison, a quiet intuition here, a helpful synchronicity there. She began forcing it, meditating for hours until her head throbbed, buying expensive crystals and essential oils she couldn't afford, and attending online workshops led by self-proclaimed gurus who charged premium prices for exclusive insights. The drain was insidious. Mornings blurred into afternoons of fog. Her once vibrant creativity withered. At work, she snapped at a customer who complained about a book recommendation. Her patience frayed. Friends noticed the change. Her best friend, Mia, a no-nonsense graphic designer, confronted her over coffee one rainy afternoon. "Elena, you're obsessed with this stuff. It's like you're trying to prove you're special, but you're pushing everyone away." Elena brushed it off, insisting Mia didn't understand the higher calling. But deep down, doubt gnawed at her. Was she truly chosen? Or was this all an elaborate coping mechanism for a life that felt unremarkable? The turning point came on that fateful October evening. Elena had just finished a grueling shift, the bookstore's Halloween display mocking her with plastic witches and glowing pumpkins. She collapsed onto her threadbare rug, lighting sage to clear the negative energies she'd absorbed from the day. Her phone, ever the temptress, buzzed with alerts from her favorite form. Awakened Souls United. The top post screamed in bold, "Chosen ones, avoid this immediately. It is seriously harming your well-being."
Curiosity overrode her fatigue. She tapped, and the words unfolded like a revelation. The author, a seasoned intuitive named Arya, who claimed to channel messages from higher realms, didn't mince words. "Fellow light-bearers," it began, "the greatest sabotage to your mission isn't the skeptics or the shadows, it's the addiction to validation from our own kind." Arya detailed how chosen ones, in their eagerness to belong, fall into the trap of comparison. Scrolling through others' stories creates energetic cords that siphon away personal power. It fosters imposter syndrome, where every unshared miracle feels like failure. Worse, it commodifies spirituality, turning sacred awakenings into social currency for likes, follows, and donations. Elena read with a mix of horror and recognition. Flashbacks hit her. The envy she felt when a group member boasted of healing a stranger's cancer through remote energy work. The pressure to post her own wins to stay relevant, even if it meant exaggerating. The late nights arguing in comment sections about whose path was more authentic. Arya warned of the physical toll, adrenal burnout from constant striving, emotional numbness from performative vulnerability, and a severed connection to one's inner guidance, the true source of any chosen power. But Arya didn't stop at diagnosis. She offered a cure. "Sever the cords," she urged. "Embrace sacred solitude. Your journey isn't a spectacle, it's a silent unfolding. Protect your well-being by unplugging from the noise. Journal privately. Walk in nature without documenting it. Trust that the universe doesn't need Instagram proof to affirm your role." Tears streamed down Elena's face as she absorbed it. The rain outside intensified, drumming against her window like applause for her awakening. She thought of her abuela, who had passed away years ago, but whose voice echoed in her mind. "La verdadera magia está en el silencio, mija." True magic is in the silence. That night, Elena didn't sleep. Instead, she paced her apartment, confronting the habits that had ensnared her. By dawn, resolve hardened. She opened her apps and began the purge, unfollowing influencers whose filtered lives made her feel inadequate, leaving groups where discussions devolved into ego battles, deleting drafts of posts she'd written to share her light, but really to seek applause. It felt like amputation, painful, disorienting, but necessary. The first week was hell. Withdrawal symptoms hit hard, anxiety spiked, whispering that she'd be left behind in the great shift.
Dreams turned nightmarish, filled with abandoned temples where she wandered alone. At work, she second-guessed every intuition, wondering if her gifts had fled without the community's reinforcement. Mia called, sensing the turmoil. "What's going on? You ghosted our group chat." Elena confessed everything over takeout tacos, the vulnerability raw without the shield of online anonymity. Mia listened without judgment, then hugged her. "You don't need to be chosen by the universe, Elena. You're chosen by me, and that's enough." Encouraged, Elena leaned into solitude. She rediscovered simple rituals, morning walks through Discovery Park where the fog-shrouded trees whispered secrets only she could hear, evening baths with herbs from the market, no crystals required. Journaling became her anchor, not polished entries for sharing, but messy streams of consciousness that unearthed buried fears and forgotten joys. She explored her heritage, cooking family recipes her mother had taught her, finding spirituality in the sizzle of chilies rather than scripted meditations. As weeks blurred into months, transformation bloomed subtly. Energy returned, not in bursts, but as a steady hum. Synchronicities appeared without effort. A lost dog she helped reunite with its owner, leading to a new friendship. A promotion at the bookstore where her boss praised her uncanny ability to match books to souls. She even started a side gig, intuitive readings for select clients, done quietly, without fanfare or social proof. But challenges persisted. Temptation lurked. A former group member messaged, inviting her to an exclusive retreat for chosen ones. Elena hesitated, fingers hovering over accept. The old pull was strong, the promise of belonging. Instead, she replied politely, "Thank you, but I'm focusing on my own path right now." Closing the app felt like victory. One crisp spring day, as cherry blossoms carpeted the streets in pink confetti, Elena sat by the waterfront, watching ferries glide across the Sound. A stranger approached, an elderly man with kind eyes clutching a worn journal. "Mind if I sit?" he asked. They talked for hours about loss, purpose, the quiet magic in everyday moments. As he left, he pressed a small stone into Elena's hand, a smooth agate from his travels. "For your journey," he said. "Remember, the chosen don't seek, they receive." In that exchange, Elena understood. Being chosen wasn't about grand destinies or external affirmations. It was about showing up authentically, without the harm of constant comparison. Her well-being, once fractured, was mending, not through avoidance of the world, but through fierce protection of her inner light. Years later, Elena would look back on that rainy October as the true awakening. She wrote her own book, not for fame, but for those quietly struggling. Titled simply, "The Silent Chosen," it whispered the same warning. Avoid the validation trap. It's harming your well-being. Choose yourself instead. And in that choice, she found not just freedom, but a profound, unshakable power.